He was as good as dead when I came across him. Running through the motions is tedious job. He may as well have been. I hadn't seen a sign of life in gens. It was a rare treat to see some new creature waddle its way through space, but they never lasted long. He worked maintenance, traveling to the fringes of known space, patching up communications relays. They used to send drones out, but sending these poor bastards proved to be much easier on the wallet. Now there's a fine line between brave and stupid, and this guy wasn't anywhere near it. Out in deep space in a tin can with the thick musk of recycled air, he was a worker bee who didn't see the big picture. He sat perched on that comm relay for spans. Couldn't quite come to grips with what had just happened. He didn't have a hope in hell without his ship. He scavenged himself an improvised set of equipment. At the time, I wondered where exactly he thought he was going to go.
I consider the market nowadays to be very saturated. Even more so when it comes to indie games. And with such an abundance of video games, such a selection, there's only a small portion of those games that are actually worth playing and that are meaningful. And with that said, when I took a look at Lost Orbit, when I took a look at the screenshots and the information provided, and I was very close to dismissing this game altogether, just based on the information and the screenshots that I saw. I assumed that it was going to provide nothing more than a generic experience. And let's just say that my assumptions were way off, and it's a good thing I didn't dismiss Lost Orbit because I would have missed out on something very special. And before I do my best to break down why I believe this game deserves your attention, I wanted to let you know that I play video games for many reasons. I'm not going to sit here and waste your time and tell you all the reasons why I play video games. I just wanted to quickly toss out there that in terms of video games that are able to satisfy, for lack of better words, all my needs and reasons of why I play video games, well, let's just say that's a pretty short list. And I'm kind of blown away how this little indie game somehow was able to infiltrate that list. And with all that said, I'm going to try my best to break down the gameplay, the mechanics, and give you a little insight of the story, because there is a pretty cool story included. The game immediately introduces you to two characters. There is one that's narrating the story, and you're playing as a space miner. As many of you already know, space mining is a very difficult job, a very dangerous job. And so you're out there doing your job, you're mining resources, and you end up being faced with maybe the worst case scenario. Worse than death, in my opinion. Your ship is destroyed and you're pretty much stranded in outer space. And all you really have is your spacesuit. And the best chance at survival is to collect these resources, those pink crystals, which will allow you to modify your suit and upgrade your suit. And in the meantime, you have this other being that is watching every single move that you make, and pretty much accompanying you while you're on this journey to survive. And so I'm going to pause just for a moment so you can get an idea of the narration that's going on.
Everything's gotta die. But this poor guy with nothing to live for, he wasn't going easy. I guess he figured he hadn't had a chance to live yet. Maybe we were more alike than I thought. I told myself it was only a matter of time before he'd be dead and I'd be on my way. If only it were that simple.
And the developers do a fantastic job when it comes to keeping me interested. I want to know what's going to happen next. I want to know where this story's going to lead. I want to learn more about this other being. The voice acting is done very well. The writing is spectacular. The music is beautiful. And you're constantly being introduced to these new environments, very lush, vibrant colors, beautiful environments. But it's also the way they introduce these environments and the pacing of the game. And to top it all off, the actual gameplay just happens to be fantastic. The game controls feel really good. And once you start to get a good understanding of some of these game mechanics, they will then start introducing you to new ones. And it feels really awesome when you're able to connect these mechanics together, chain them together, and pull off some pretty cool and acrobatic moves. While I was playing this game, I was recording my voice, and I'm gonna let you hear a little bit of that right now.
He laughed at my mention of erupting gas giants. I recorded his unusual...
I'm gonna fucking die. This is so fucking awesome. Dead. I mean, from a gameplay perspective, it's fundamentally pretty simple. Yet it's just kind of complex at the same time in terms of the mechanics and chaining them together, as well as just trying to be aware of your environment. This game's pretty fucking awesome. It really is. Wow. And so I don't want to give away too much. I would love for you guys to experience a lot of this gameplay and story firsthand. I will say that there are plenty of other mechanics that get introduced as you progress throughout the story, such as black holes. There are these ramps that you can make jumps with, as well as these weird water bubbles. And each and every single one of these mechanics offer a unique ability. And I can't express how awesome it is when you kind of nail it when it comes to chaining them together. It's really something else. For me, this game is a total package. Everything I want in a video game. The pacing, the story, the gameplay, the brutal deaths. I don't particularly do reviews, and I try not to recommend games for the most part, and I'll tell you why. Well, for one, we all have our different taste, and some games aren't for everybody. And more importantly, and excuse the analogy, but people seem to care more about the messenger nowadays than the actual message. And what I mean by that, unfortunately, some of my peers, they rely solely on some of these mainstream media outlets. And to make a long story short, because I'm Mr. Random YouTuber that nobody's ever heard of, well, my content, my thoughts aren't going to carry as much weight or impact per se in comparison. So the way I see it is, why even bother? And with all that said, I just figured because this is a smaller game that might not get the same kind of coverage as, say, Witcher 3. And because I believe in this game, because I think that it is for anyone that enjoys video games. And that might sound like an assumption or a bold statement, but I truly believe that this game pulls it off in that regard and is something special, something unique, and definitely something you should give a chance. So if you happen to have stumbled across my video and you're still with me, well, for one, I thank you. And for two, you are a fine specimen. You are a fine example when it comes to defying the YouTube statistics in terms of average retention span, and I applaud you for that. And with that said, it's about time for the review score. But I refrain from using digits or stars and thumbs and apples. I would just consider this being a must play. Lost Orbit is a truly special game, which reminded me why I play games to begin with. And sure, visuals are always great to have, but you need something there. You need a core, you need a foundation, you need a game. And without it, all the graphics, all the resolutions and frames per second are meaningless. I love this game, and I hope that you get a chance to experience it firsthand for yourself. And so with that said, I bid you farewell. Thanks for watching. Take care.